Let's take a look at this digital tools for interior designers online business that was recently listed for sale at an asking price of $300,000. It is making $109,000 per year in profit. So for those of you guys out there doing the quick math on the valuation multiple, that is slightly less than 3x. Pretty attractively priced. In this video here, I'm going to go through and unpack the details of this business listing and share some of my experience-based insight into what I like and don't like, maybe some of the risks of this business, and ultimately my quick take on the business valuation. On that note, if you're interested in acquiring an established and profitable online business, I suggest signing up for the Acumen Wire newsletter. It's a newsletter I run where I send out online businesses that were recently listed for sale with a focus on established, profitable, and time-tested businesses. I'll put a link below to acumenwire.com so you can head on over there and get signed up. Now, let's talk about this business here. I'm going to kind of start off with a little overview of what I think this business is really about, what we can infer from the title, or at least what I can infer from the title, and then highlight some of the details in the listing. I'm not going to read it word for word, but right in the title, we can see digital tools. So I'm assuming that this is a digital product selling some type of designs or templates for interior designers. And as we get into the listing, we can see their business is built around a full suite of customizable templates covering everything from proposals and mood boards to project trackers and website design. So yes, full digital product business here. These products are not generic, and every template is crafted with an understanding of the challenges interior designers face daily. Everything is designed for easy use on Canva and PowerPoint. The business is fully digital with no inventory to manage. They focus on paid digital marketing with meta ads and email marketing driving their revenue. They say while organic traffic is still growing, the company gets 10,000 monthly website visitors. One of their strongest selling points of this business is their top-selling digital toolkit, which makes up a chunk of their sales. Their AOV has been rising from $84.30 in 2023 to a projected $127 in 2025. No full-time employees, a few contractors. And then, of course, there's room to scale, 6.1% repeat customer rate. So what do we like about this business? Well, first of all, digital product business. I like digital product businesses because everything lives in the computer, and fundamentally there is no cost of goods sold because the product already exists. You're just selling access or a duplication of that digital good. So there's no cost of goods sold. Your margin is effectively like 99% in this case, which is awesome. Let's see what their margins are here. Didn't pay attention to this. $109,000 in cash flow, sales of $345,000. So it's a little over a 30% margin on that 30% margin on their, on their total sales. I'm going to guess that a substantial portion of that is going to the meta ads. So they have the high margin that allows them to run ads and keep growing their business. So yeah, I like it's a digital product. I like the high margin that comes with it. I like the high average order value. I like the simplicity of the product. There's still a few things, though, that we don't know, and that is how long this business has been around. This business listing did not address that. We know it's at least since 2023, so that means that it's like 2 years old, not very long. And I think if we're much longer than that, and this were a more aged business, they would have called that out in the business listing somewhere. We don't know that. We don't know what percentage of their sales comes from meta ads versus these 10,000 monthly website visitors. I'd guess that they would have to be, I'd guess that they'd have to be selling something, right? Something has to be coming in from organic. So that means that they are spending more. If we assume that some of them are coming from organic, that means that they're spending more than the delta here of cash flow and sales on meta ads. So their margin, I guess we could express this otherwise, their margin after their meta ads for sales coming directly from meta ads is less than that 33%, because the ones that are coming in organic, they've got 100% margin basically on them. That's ultimately skewing the overall kind of blended margin. Yeah, what else don't we know about this here? I don't think there's anything else. We just really don't know how old it is and what the split is between the organic and advertising sales. Now, what are some of the risks, weaknesses of this business here? First of all, the products are made in Canva and PowerPoint. They tell us that right there. So there's really no barrier to entry, right? All you need is somebody that knows how to use Canva and PowerPoint and understands the design business to spin this up and compete. That said, I will say it's easier said than done. And they've certainly figured out something to get to this level of sales, $345,000 selling a digital product like this. So they've got something going, but still it's not, like a SaaS where you've got custom and proprietary software powering the business, or that is your product. All right, this is just something that, again, anybody with Canva or PowerPoint experience and some research into the needs of designers, I think, could pull this off. It's not incredibly complicated. That seems to be the biggest risk. The other one, and it coincides with that, is the reliance on meta ads that I'm going to assume exists here. And I'm assuming that just because that's characteristic of businesses that are selling digital products and not very old. Maybe I'm entirely wrong. Maybe 50% of the revenue is coming from organic. But I'm going to, take an assumption here and say that like 75% is coming from the ads. Well, if you get another competitor in here that starts selling a similar product and pumping the ad traffic right to it, you are going to see a direct decline in your return on ad spend. That's exactly what will happen. Doesn't matter how good your creative is, that fundamentally does not matter very much. If somebody has a similar offer and they're hammering it with ads, you will see a proportionate decline in your return on ad spend. And that could really, really hamper this business. Yeah, so I think that is about it. Let's just look at how they, would propose growing it, expanding into related niches such as architecture, product design. Yes, possibly. But my take on that is like, well, if you're going to start marketing to architects now or coming up with other products, why not just create the architecture or product design products on your own without buying this business? I just don't see that as a synergistic way of growing the business. Create more upsell options like custom branding services. So sell more to the designers. That could work, could be a good one. A buyer with digital marketing experience could take this business to the next level by refining ad strategies and optimizing conversion funnels. Okay. This right here stands out to me as something that I would look at with skepticism. I really don't know how else to articulate this, but let me just say this. Somebody who's grown this business heavily by meta ads, they're clearly skilled at running them. So if you're going to come in here and try to do better, that is very unlikely. Or it's very unlikely that you would do better than what a skilled advertiser that's already spun this business up would do. On that note, what is my take on the business valuation here? I'm seeing low barriers to entry with this. I'm seeing not very long in business. And I'm seeing something that looks like, considering the context of they spend a lot of money on meta ads, something that hasn't been in business very long. And I'm just assuming that because the furthest back reference point we have is 2023. I'm assuming that this was somebody that is very good with ads that spun this up and is now selling it. So considering those things, I think that this business, from an equity perspective, would fall lower in terms of the valuation multiple because there's not substantial brand or business equity here. This business is really just a digital product that is out there and spitting off cash. And that is good for the person that spun it up, but that's not good for you as a buyer, because it's really easy for this business to run into increased competition, which ultimately diminishes margin and erodes away at the profit. So, considering those things, I would expect to see this business trade on the low side at a 2x multiple. What would make it, trade higher, I think would be something like there's a lot of branded search traffic. That would really make it more valuable. It's kind of hard to say here. I'm trying to think of things that could really, substantiate this, but really there needs to be a product that is not so rob and duplicatable. It needs to be a standalone brand and not something that somebody could spin up easily. Whereas I think this business is really something that could run into a lot of competition very quick. So let's just say that they were getting, maybe 40% of their sales from branded search, and it had been in business for 5 years, then I think we're looking at like a 3.5x multiple, right? More than what they're asking right here. But again, considering what is going on in this business and that it is a simple digital product being pushed heavily with paid meta ads, it's not very time tested. I really see this skewing on the very low side of potential valuations, and I think that would be about a 2x multiple here. I really don't see a ton of business equity in this business. Now, you might say, well, why would a person sell for that? And, well, they probably won't, because at that multiple, they might as well just keep it for themselves and run it a few more years. And either the cash keeps growing, and then they've got something that they could sell at a higher multiple, or the cash diminishes and ultimately it fizzles out. A lot of times in businesses where it is just something that is a simple product that's easy to knock off, but a savvy marketer has spun it up and started selling a lot of them, the seller, unfortunately here, and I don't know if this is the case with this one, but I see it all the time, is selling when they're at the top. They know that they've taken it as far as they can with ads. They're starting to see other competition come in, and a lot of people just kind of rob and duplicate and knock them off and start running ads on the platforms. So they know that their return on ad spend is going to diminish as those other competitors kind of get into the space and start hammering the ad spend and start figuring out the angles needed to sell it and have success that they can scale up. So they want to sell. And I'm afraid that absent any other details, this business kind of fits that mold. On that note, guys, what do you think? Is there anything you feel like I missed out on? Let me know in the comments below. I am calling it a wrap and signing off on this one.